This month we have Pluto, the transformer, turning to retrograde motion, and we have Saturn, the authority, moving into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. All of this, an empowered moment and more, in my new intuitive energy forecast for the month of May 2025. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, this is Colleen Lemma, starseed astrologer and spiritual messenger from Sacred Soul Empowerment, here with your monthly intuitive energy forecast for May. For this month, we're going to be using the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha. That will be the main message for everyone. Your special message card this month, depending on what is going to be your choice, and I say it that way because usually it's a crystal or stone of choice, but I did something a little different this month. But anyway, that special message card is going to be coming from the Angels and Ancestors deck by Kyle Gray. So before we get into that choice for the special message card or the astrology of significance for this month, let's go ahead, close our eyes, take a deep breath, and do an empowered moment. So closing your eyes, relaxing your body, clearing your mind of all thoughts, at least in this moment. Just being in the here and now, feeling, sensing, seeing or knowing that you're surrounded in golden white light. This is the golden white light of peace, healing, the golden white light of God's source energy, Great Spirit, all that is. And as you feel yourself immersed in that unconditionally loving and compassionate golden white light, take a deep breath and breathe it into every cell of your body, activating the ancient memory of who you really are. And as you exhale, letting go of all heaviness, letting go of all that your body, your mind, and your soul no longer needs in this moment. And as we mentioned in the introduction of this month's video, we've got Pluto, the planet of transformation and regeneration, turning to retrograde motion. Pluto is known as the transformer. And as he turns retrograde, it will internalize his energies of transformation within the self. So focus on your intention for transformation within yourselves. What aspects of your inner self do you wish to transform? What old patterns do you wish to clear and cleanse away? What old stories lie hidden in the subconscious that you wish to bring healing to? Where in your life would you like to take back your power, own your power, or empower yourself? So as you think about and meditate on these areas of your life where inner transformation can take place, I want you to breathe in a deep breath, breathing in that golden white light to activate this transformation, to activate this transmuting energy to release what you no longer need, to activate your sense of inner power. Breathing in now. And as you exhale, have the intention that you are releasing, letting go, purging and transmuting all that your body, mind, and soul no longer needs to carry. When you feel ready and in your own time, you can open your eyes, returning to this time and place and space. And let's go ahead and look at what usually is our stones of choice. I hope you don't mind. I just changed it up a little bit for this month. I was thinking, what stones of choice should I use? And And Spirit kind of guided me to these more earthy energies. And the reason why is because for the first part of the month, we're still in Taurus season, right? We've got the sun is in Taurus, Mercury is going to be moving into Taurus, we've got Uranus in Taurus. So we do have some Taurus energies until, well, the sun doesn't move out of Taurus until the 20th of this month. So these are earthy kind of spiritual tools, I guess you could call them. And the first one is white sage. So this is California white sage specifically. And the California white sage is a spiritual tool or herb, really, that's used by Native Americans and many, many other people, but it came from the Native American tradition. And it's for clearing negative energy and purification. So it's helping to release and let go what you no longer need, just like we did in our meditation. Your second tool of choice is pine cone. So the pine cone is actually a symbol of spiritual consciousness, enlightenment, and the opening of the third eye. It was believed that the center of the pine cone was like the pineal gland or the third eye here that's being activated with the pine cone. And then the last spiritual tool of choice is Palo Santo. So Palo Santo means holy wood. That's what it means, is holy wood. And it's used for spiritual cleansing. It's used for meditation and relaxation. You can actually get Palo Santo essential oil, which I have some of that as well, and you can put that on. This is to burn, actually, sort of like you would burn the sage. You actually burn the Palo Santo, and it gives off a smoke. So again, spiritual cleansing, meditation, and relaxation, and to attract blessings and positive energy. So again, your spiritual tools of choice are the California white sage. It smells so good. Oh my gosh. We've got the pine cone. And again, these are all earthy, right? They all come from earth, wood, plant, etc., tree. And then our last spiritual tool of choice is the Palo Santo. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the numerology, is what we usually do first in our monthly readings. We talk about the numerology of the month in question. So first we have to remind ourselves what the universal year energy for 2025 is. 2 + 0 + 2 + 5 is 9. We have, since the beginning of this year, since January 1st, 2025, we've been in a 9 universal year. On a collective level, we're in this year of closure, endings, releasing, letting go, purging, transition. It's also a number that deals with humanitarian endeavors, where those of like mind come together for a common purpose or goal for humanity. That seems on point. To get the universal month number for May, in this case, we're going to take the fact that May is the 5th month of the year, and we're going to add 5 to that 9 universal year. And 9 + 5 is 14. Normally, we would add the 1 + the 4, and we will do that, actually. The 1 + the 4 of the 14 is a 5. So we've got a single-digit vibration of the number 5 for May. So let's talk about that first, because the 5 energy in numerology is about change. It's about change and redirection, new people, new places, new things, movement, networking, sometimes surprising and unexpected energies that come into play. It brings in this movement energy. So, however, the 14, before we reduce that down to a 5, the number 14 is one of the karmic numbers in numerology. We've got 4 karmic numbers that we look at, double-digit numbers, and one of them is 14. And within that 14 number, there's a 1 and a 4. And 1s are about the individual, the sense of self, or new beginnings, or planting new seeds. But the number 4 is an energy that's a little bit more grounded, a little bit more focused. It needs to be a little bit more patient and determined and persistent. So in order to get to this change and this redirection and this new energy of opportunities or new directions and new experiences that the 5 is all about, we might have to have a little bit of patience. We might need to, again, stay grounded in our efforts. We might need to move slowly, step by step, paying attention to the details, because that is what the number 4 is all about. Karmic number 14 also deals with spiritual lessons, past life lessons of freedom and liberation, and sometimes addiction tendencies or obsessive compulsive tendencies. So now again, this is on a collective level. You can also look at this possibly for yourself somewhat, but you have your own personal month number for the month of May, where this is a collective number. So again, it's a backdrop energy for you personally, but on a collective level, again, we're dealing with karmic issues of freedom here. And that 4, which brings in part of that karmic number 14, is this feeling of sometimes being controlled or being under the thumb of someone or an organization or whatever it might be. And the 5 wants to break free, right? That base number of the 1 + 4 = 5. The 5 wants to break free and be liberated. But the 4 is like kind of holding it at bay a little bit. So there's a little bit of a tug of war going on, a little bit of a push-pull in regards to these karmic issues of freedom this month. Now, we also want to look at Major Arcana 14, because that's going to give us a little bit of information for the month of May as well. And if we pull out, and this is from the Syrian Starseed Tarot, we pull out Major Arcana 14. In the traditional tarot, it's called temperance. In the Syrian Starseed Tarot, it's called alchemy. Now, the temperance card, interestingly enough, one of its keywords is also patience. It also has this idea of needing to stay balanced and needing to have moderation and patience as you're moving towards something. Oftentimes in the traditional tarot with the temperance card, and maybe I should have pulled it out of the traditional deck too, or one of the traditional decks, is it usually has an angel, the angel of temperance, holding kind of this vessel of fire in one hand and this vessel of water in the other. And the fire and the water is being combined. And if you think about water and fire being combined, you usually think, well, water puts out fire. But there's also an alchemical process that happens, right? If you add water to fire, it can also produce steam, which is a different element. And this is alchemy. That's why they named this card in this particular tarot deck alchemy, because the fire plus the water produces a new element. And that's also what temperance is about. So this month, we are combining aspects that we already know fairly well. If you want to call them elements or situations or circumstances that you know fairly well, we're combining them to create something new. We're taking them and alchemizing them to create a new element, a new situation, a new way of thinking, a new way of perceiving, a new way of doing something, all while we need to stay balanced and have this sense of moderation and patience, again, which is the temperance card. So this fits in rather well with the idea of the number 14 being a karmic number that deals with patience and moderation and this push-pull energy of kind of needing to slow down or being under the thumb of or needing to have patience as opposed to just wanting to break free and be liberated. Now, just a little heads up, I think when we get into June, we're going to see a little bit more of a continuation of the freedom energy aspect as we move into that month. But right now, again, we're in this alchemical process. And this doesn't just have to be about situations and circumstances in our lives or about relationships in our lives that maybe need to alchemize and transition or transform into something new. But it's also about aspects within ourselves. Right? Our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual bodies are all needing to go through this alchemical transformation to become something new. We're all evolving and moving into this higher dimensional energy. You know, our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies are transitioning. They're becoming more crystalline in nature, right? They're going through this alchemical process. So that's a little bit about the month of May from a numerological and tarot perspective. Let's go ahead and talk about the astrology of significance for the month. Now, every month to me is an important month, but there's not an extra amount of things going on this month, but there are a couple of things that are very powerful. And the first one is one that we're going to talk about that happens on May 4th. On May 4th, we have Pluto, planet of death and rebirth, power and control, transformation and regeneration. Pluto rules the underworld. It rules our subconscious, things that are hidden beneath the surface. And Pluto is turning to retrograde motion at 3 degrees of Aquarius on the 4th of May. So Pluto is such a very slow moving planet, and it only moves 1 to 2 degrees in a whole year. So it's at 3 degrees of Aquarius. It's going to retrograde all the way back only to 1 degree of Aquarius, and it's not going to turn back to direct motion until I think it's October. It's either September or October. So it's retrograde for a really long time and doesn't move a whole lot, right? It's going to move like 2 degrees back. So the most potent time, the most significant time to pay attention to the Pluto energies as it's shifting is the week before and the week after it's shifting into retrograde motion. So we're talking about the very end of April being about a week before, and then until, the 11th or mid-month this month for that significant shift. Now, it doesn't mean that it just all goes away after that, right? There's other planets that will connect with Pluto retrograde over the course of the next weeks and months to come. So, of course, it's going to still rise up every once in a while in its power and its ability to transform and transmute and purge and release and let go of disempowering situations and circumstances so that we move into our power. But we're really going to feel this more strongly again in the week before and week after Pluto goes retrograde. And when Pluto or any planet turns retrograde, it's internalizing the energies of what that planet is all about. So this is again about this death and rebirth process, this alchemy process that we are moving through. So it might bring up, like Pluto can unearth some things again that are hidden beneath the surface. This can be anything from something on a physical level. For instance, I'm not saying you're going to, but for instance, a physical level thing that Pluto could unearth is some sort of rash on your body. And what does a rash mean metaphysically? It means there's some sort of hidden anger, frustration, or aggression, and the rash is a way of getting it out, right? Unless we have another healthy outlet for it, it's going to come out potentially in that way. Emotions can be triggered to kind of come up and out, like, whoa, where did that come from? I didn't see that coming. Or again, this frustrating way of thinking, this disempowering way of thinking, that could come up into your consciousness. And this whole idea of on a spiritual level, this can relate to past lives where we felt, again, disempowered. There might be situations or circumstances in your life where there's a repeating theme of disempowerment, and Pluto is going to internalize his energy and make you more aware of, whoa, this is something that I get into time and time again. What is this all about? Why does it keep repeating? Why is there this repeating theme in my life of not owning my power? So there's, these things and some other things that Pluto retrograde can kind of bring up. And then on the 10th of May, we have Mercury, the messenger, moving into Taurus. Now, Mercury rules the mental realm of thoughts, ideas, perceptions, perspectives, communications, information, messages. And it's been in Aries for a while. In fact, it went into Aries quite a while ago and then went retrograded from Aries back into Pisces for a time. Went back into Aries finally, and now it's moving into Taurus. And Taurus is more earthy, grounded, practical, stable, deals with money and finances or possessions, all of our personal resources. Whereas Mercury in Aries was more bold and forthright and impatient maybe. Mercury in Taurus is a little bit more slow moving with its thoughts, a little bit more thoughtful before it expresses. A little bit maybe even more conservative and silent. But it doesn't mean it's not focused. It doesn't mean it's not working. So Mercury in Taurus is really good with follow through. It's a fixed sign, whereas Aries was a cardinal sign. Mercury in Aries was good at coming up with the idea, maybe starting some motion with the idea, but that's kind of where the cardinal sign of Aries kind of stops sometimes, unless you have other things in your chart going on to help you with the follow through. But Mercury in Taurus now can bring something into manifestation, because Taurus is a manifestation sign, and it's good again with this very persistent, determined process of following through with the steps that it needs to take to get to the manifestation point. Now, Mercury is going to be in Taurus only until May 25th. So before we end this month, it's going to make another shift, which we'll talk about in a minute. On the 12th of May, we've got a full moon, and this full moon is going to be at 22 degrees of Scorpio. So this means the sun is in Taurus, the moon is in Scorpio, the opposite sign. And Scorpio is pretty heavy duty. In fact, Scorpio is ruled by the modern planet of Pluto. It's also ruled by the ancient planet of Mars, the warrior. So it's a pretty intense sign of the zodiac, and the full moon is intensifying our emotions, and our emotional reactions are more triggered easily during a full moon. Full moons are about clearing, cleansing, releasing, letting go, completion, closure, ending of a cycle. So this is going to be a lot of energy on a subconscious level. Scorpio is a water sign that operates on a subconscious level. Scorpio is also very intuitive and clairsentient, so we can get these really strong feelings, sensations, feeling the energy dynamics around us, and that might magnify as well. Scorpio is great with healing. It's great with projecting healing energy. It's also an attractor, so it can attract energies from other people, which is often why Scorpio tends to sometimes kind of attract or magnetize to them lower vibrational energies, because they're a transmuter. Scorpios transmute energy. So it's one of their gifts, actually, if they know how to use it properly, where they kind of absorb this lower vibrational energy from other people, circumstances, and situations, environments. And then they're supposed to transmute it, release it, let it go, purge it. Sometimes it gets stuck because they're not sure how that transmutation process works. But this is an intense energy for a full moon. And again, with Pluto just having turned to retrograde motion a few days before, it makes this full moon even more powerful, even more strong in its intense energies. Not to mention, Scorpio rules power and control, disempowering situations and circumstances, or the fact that we need to empower ourselves, take back our power and empower ourselves. So these situations might also come up during that full moon. And then we go to the 20th. The 20th of May, we've got the sun moving out of Taurus and into Gemini, the next sign of the zodiac. This is the time of the year. Every May, around this date, give or take a day, the sun is moving into Gemini. This is the sign of the twins. It's air, it's communication, it's thought, it's ideas, it's versatility, it's variety. It's like faster moving energy than the Taurus was. And then on the 24th, we've got Saturn, the authority, Saturn, the planet of responsibility, Saturn, the great teacher of karmic lessons, finally moving out of Pisces, where he's been for 2.5 years or over 2 years, and it's moving into Aries. Now, in fact, a little bit later this year, Saturn will go retrograde in the early degrees of Aries, will retrograde back into Pisces for just a little bit longer. So he's not totally done with Pisces, but getting there. And I feel like with Saturn, the great teacher of karmic lessons, in Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, which does deal with past lives and things that are unseen and intangible, other timelines, etc. I feel like there was a great kind of cleansing and purging, karmically speaking, happening for over 2 years with Saturn being in Pisces. Again, going to revisit that Pisces energy a little bit later, but for now it's moving into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. And Saturn is the authority. In the tarot, it would be like the Emperor card. The Emperor is the king, the authority. He sits on his throne. He's kind of in control of his domain. He's very focused. He's very grounded. He's a builder. He's a manifester. So now we have Saturn, the builder and manifester, and Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, which comes up with these new intentions, this new spark of life, the fresh starts of Aries season. So this can maybe be a good combination. Of course, there's always a shadow side and a great side to, a combination of the planets and whatever signs they happen to be in, because this can be a little bit overly domineering, a little bit overly controlling, or someone or an organization, something out there on the collective level that is trying to stand in and hold their control, so to speak, or to put it out on other people. But we also are going to be affected personally by Saturn and Aries, where we can own our own power and be our own inner authority and take charge of our own lives and our sense of self and our sense of individuality. That's what Aries is all about: self, individuality, independence, taking charge, being the warrior. So I feel like for all of us, Saturn moving into Aries, if we channel it correctly, this can be a really good thing. Now, Saturn will be in Aries until September 1st. That's when it will dip back into Pisces for a few weeks. So we've got a little while here for that influence of Saturn and Aries. On the 25th of May, this is when Mercury, again, the planet that rules the mental realm, now it moves into Gemini. So it came out of Taurus, moving into Gemini, quick thinking, quick thought, new ideas, again, versatility, variety, networking, having your mind kind of juggling many things and doing many projects at the same time, because Gemini is quick and Gemini is the twins, right? So it's a little bit more mutable. Mutable is changeable in astrology. So the Mercury is going to be more changeable now. Our mind's going to be like really going. So it's great for like sharing ideas with other people, networking. It's great for juggling projects in your own life. It's great for communication in all of its forms: speaking, teaching, writing. And Mercury will be in Gemini until June 8th. And then on the 26th, the very next day, we have a new moon in Gemini, meaning the moon and the sun are both in Gemini. It's at 6 degrees of Gemini. New beginnings in ways of thinking, perceiving, believing, communicating, new perspectives on life, new study, new learning. Geminis love to learn and gain more information, learn more, ways of doing things. So that could be about classes, workshops. It can be about reading books, attending or listening to podcasts. It can be, again, any form of communication or information is highlighted. But the new moon here is planting new seeds in the realm of all forms of thought and communication. So that's a little bit about the highlights astrologically. Let's go ahead and take a look at the messages from our angels and guides. So the first card here is Major Arcana 9, and this is called Reflection in this deck. In a traditional tarot deck, it's the Hermit. You can see that it's the Hermit here. He's got his staff. The lantern is on the end of the staff, and the Hermit is lighting his own way forward on his path. The Hermit is about going within and doing a lot of self-reflection, soul-searching, meditation, just looking within. This really kind of resonates almost with Pluto going retrograde, right? So we're going to self-reflect, we're going to move through the shadows, and we're going to light our own way and be our own light, our own inner light. Listen to our own inner intuition, listen to our own inner wisdom, listen to our own inner messages as far as guiding us forward on this path. And, in this card, at least, the Hermit is kind of in the dark. He's in the shadows of the night. He's all cloaked. It's dark outside, which is why he has his lantern. So we're moving through a shadow time. We're moving through a time where maybe we can't see in front of us very clearly. Maybe we can only see 1 or 2 steps, right? Because we're lighting our own way, but we can't see beyond that. So there's almost an element of trust and faith here. A need to, again, listen to your own inner intuition and follow your own inner light as you move forward. The Hermit is very wise. He's an older, wise gentleman here. So he's got a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge from times past. This could reflect with all the wisdom and knowledge you brought with you from past lifetimes. So tap into that through meditation. Take alone time for yourself. so that you can journal or self-reflect. That's going to be very important, at least in the first part of the month. We have to see what the rest of the cards say. All right, the second card, this is the Nine of Flames. This is like the Nine of Wands. In this deck, we've got a gentleman here. He's got one flame in his hand. The other 8 flames are kind of behind him. There is a pyramid back here as well. He's not in a moving kind of state. He's in a standing still kind of state. He's got a bandage around his head. It's like he's been through, he's been through the battle. He's been through the war. This is getting towards the end of the minor arcana. There's one more card, the number 10, that comes after the 9. And then we get to the court cards. So he's almost at the end of something, right? The end of some sort of journey. And it looks like he's been through maybe a little bit of a rough time here because he's got that bandage over his head. He's just kind of standing still, like taking a little breath. He's taking a pause. He's taking a break. But he also has all of the flames behind him, as if creating a barrier that no one can step through. Like, no one's going to get past me right now. I'm just taking a rest. I'm going to take a breath here, but no one's going to get past me to kind of try to interrupt my journey. No one's going to interrupt me from when I'm ready. I'm going to turn around with my lighted flame in my hand, and I'm going to walk towards this pyramid. I'm going to walk towards this enlightenment. I'm going to walk towards this higher self-expression, creative self-expression, or higher insights, higher spiritual connection. So again, you're getting near the end of something, so don't give up here. Just kind of keep on moving on. Keep on keeping on, keep on moving on, whatever that phrase is. So, right now, again, maybe just for this month, at least for, maybe up until the middle of the month. This is the second card. And the middle of the month, the 20th, is when we transition into Gemini, from the Sun in Taurus to the Sun in Gemini. So maybe that's when we start to have a little bit more movement. We're done with our rest, basically. Okay. I think the pyramid also, to me, is about wisdom. It's like this higher wisdom and knowledge from ancient civilizations, right? They knew something that we have long forgotten, or that we don't remember quite. Some of us do, maybe, but not everybody, right? There's a wisdom and knowledge about that pyramid in the background. All right. And then the last card is Major Arcana 12. And in this deck, it's called Hanging Man. In the traditional tarot, it is the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man is usually about a need to look at things from a different perspective or from a different vantage point, right? Usually the Hanged Man is hanging upside down by 1 foot by a tree, from a tree by 1 foot. Let's see if I can say that right. In this particular Hanging Man card, he's hanging upside down within a pendulum, which is pretty cool, right? The pendulum is a divination tool, right? We use the pendulum as a divination tool to receive answers. It looks like it's a smoky quartz, and smoky quartz is a high vibrational stone because it's quartz, but it's smoky, so it provides a sense of grounding as well. But also you can see where his crown chakra is lit up. Again, he's looking at things from a higher perspective, but in a different way than he's used to, right? Because he's upside down. So instead of looking at things the same way, kind of shift your perspective. Shift the way you're perceiving things in the circumstances and situations around you. Take a moment, pause, surrender. This is also about pause and surrender. And just, again, look at situations and circumstances with a new set of eyes. And again, tap into your higher soul self with his crown chakra all lit up. Let's tap into the higher soul self. And let's ask our angels and guides and our higher self for the wisdom that we need to see things, whatever's going on in our lives, a little bit differently. So I like that, again, this is within a pendulum, because between the Hermit card and the Hanging Man card and the pendulum here, in this case, it's really about, again, seeking our own inner wisdom and guidance, listening to the divination of the messages that are kind of coming through as we look at things from a different vantage point. All right, so let's go ahead and see what your special message card is, depending on your spiritual tool of choice. So the first spiritual tool was the White California Sage. All right, so for the White Sage people, White Sage people for May 2025. White Sage people, what's their message? This one's calling my attention. And this says, Mirror Guardian. I almost giggled because it says time to reflect. And we've been talking a lot about reflection. In fact, we've got the Hermit card, which is reflection in this deck. And there's quite the reflection going on with the light too. How metaphoric is that? So the Mirror Guardian is about a time to reflect, taking time to reflect. Here, this angel here, the Mirror Guardian, is holding onto a mirror. And instead of seeing her own reflection in the mirror, she's seeing this reflection of the cosmos, the universe, the infinite, the divine. Again, looking at things from a higher spiritual perspective, right? Connecting with the divine, the cosmos, that higher spiritual perspective, to see the grand plan, to see what's larger than life, larger than us on this third dimensional earth plane living our day-to-day lives. There's something bigger going on here. And the Mirror Guardian wants you to take time in meditation, alone time, self-reflection, journal time, to hear what that message is, to see, feel, sense, know what that message might be. But again, it's very telling that in the mirror here is just the infinite divine universe. Again, there's something bigger going on here, something bigger on a collective level, maybe something bigger on a personal level from a higher spiritual perspective in your own life. Call on your angels and guides. She's got long flowing hair here. So it's like, let go. It has that feeling again of surrender, let go, and go with the flow of this. Allow this higher energy to come in. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the message for the pine cone people. Special message for pine cone people for the month of May. Okay. The one on my bottom here wants to come out. Ooh, Shaman. I love this card. I always love seeing this card. Shaman. Native American shaman here with an owl with its wings widespread on his crown chakra. The owls are a totem of wisdom, higher wisdom and knowledge. And it's like opening up the crown chakra here. So you're opening up to greater claircognizance here. And it says trust in higher forces. So there's a theme so far of really expanding your perception, listening to your inner guidance too, like the Hermit, but also with the Hanging Man, right? In the pendulum, it's like in the crown chakra lit up. We're needing to expand into higher wisdom and knowledge. We're needing to trust the higher forces, trust the divine plan, trust the universe, trust your higher soul self to lead you in the right direction. Trust your inner shaman to bring healing to you in the areas where you might need healing. I'm looking at also the fact that, again, he's got like these antlers I never really noticed before. These antlers are kind of underneath the owl, kind of like attached to part of his headdress. And antlers usually mean, again, higher intuition, higher perception. Again, this download and activation of the download of information and knowledge. But it also has these little like bells on it. So I'm also going to say your clairaudience with the ears here, because the bells are very close to his ear chakras. That's going to increase your clairaudience and hearing messages as well. Okay. He's really this ancient Native American shaman who's guiding you on the path of healing. This is very soul related, right? It feels very like soul related to your soul evolution and growth with this healing. Okay. Let's put that back in the deck. The last tool of choice was the Palo Santo. So let's give this a little shuffle and ask for the special message for the month of May for Palo Santo people. This one's sticking up. Gonna pull that out. Oh, to go with the shaman, we've got the Medicine Mother. Okay, the Medicine Mother. And it says at the bottom, honor your inner knowing. So this goes back to the Hermit again. Your inner wisdom, your inner knowledge, your inner guidance, your inner knowing. Listen to that. The shaman, the previous card, was very well, I shouldn't say very. It was more masculine in nature, right? Because it had the male shaman. So that was more of this masculine energy of, to me, it was still very much about inaction and listening, right? But the action of moving forward on your healing journey, however that looks for you. Here, the medicine mother is more feminine. So we've got more of this feminine energy. Although, interestingly enough, she's got a lot of like similar psychic symbology going on. She's got this, I don't even know what to call it. It looks like some sort of a wreath or headdress here that's highlighting her claircognizance. She's got these adornments around her ears, signifying increased magnified clairaudience. And she's also got the, like, almost like some glasses. It's not really, I don't know what it is. It's a geometric shape. It's actually the infinity symbol, right? This is the infinity symbol going through her eyes here. And this would be, again, increased clairvoyance. So she's got it all going on. She's even got this great big, like, animal bone that's kind of going over her heart chakra, the clairsentience. And so this is really highlighting all of the intuitive psychic clairs here. And the medicine mother is providing you with some sort of metaphoric, energetic medicine to help you move forward in your healing, your growth, your evolution. And I'm also like getting that this might relate to actual like spiritual medicine. So to me, this would be like essential oils, flower essences, using those tools of the sage, the Palo Santos that we showed you earlier, or even the pine cone, is metaphoric for, kind of, again, that symbol of spiritual consciousness and enlightenment and opening the third eye, actually. So using some spiritual tools as spiritual medicine to, again, go within, self-reflect, connect with your inner knowing, connect with your higher self to bring forth the information that is needed as you move forward on your journey. So lots of similar messages for people this particular month. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for sharing the video. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for connecting with me on my website, Sacred Soul Empowerment, checking out my services. Thank you for coming to my meetup group and joining my meetup group, which is also under the name Sacred Soul Empowerment, where I have classes, workshops, lectures, guided meditations, events listed there, most of which are on Zoom online that you can all participate with. I appreciate all of your love and support, your kindness, your comments, your donations. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Sending you all lots of love and light as we move through the month of May together. And I will see you next month for June, or I'll see you next week for the weekly forecast. Namaste, everyone.